All right, and we're on. Introducing
Right
Bob
on.
Kruse, CEO Arm Cyber. How are you,
Hello
mate?
there, Joseph. How are you,
Oh,
sir?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. It's good to see you. How's life?
It's busy, but it's fun. This is probably the best job I've ever had, and I'm not just being
Wow,
facetious. It really is. So,
really? Yeah, because
yeah,
recently appointed November last year, right?
yeah,
Wow,
correct,
a couple of months in.
correct. Yeah, it was much to the chagrin of my wife. I committed to taking 6 months off, and I think I took less than 6 weeks off. So I've got a bit of making up to do. So
I can imagine, mate. I can imagine. Well, I guess we'll dive straight in, Bob. I'd be really interested to just get a bit of a highlight of your career and how you got into the industry. I sort of know that
yeah,
it comes from quite humble beginnings. If you don't
yeah.
mind me saying, in terms of like commercial fishermen, apparently, like real early on. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I had a very blue collar upbringing, which I highly value. I operated a chainsaw and commercial logging. I worked on commercial fishing boats in Alaska. My family's business was heavy equipment, so I learned how to weld.
Oh, wow.
And so, somewhat improbable that I'm here now, but I do know how to swing a hammer, so that's a good thing.
Well, we've got RSA in a couple of months, and we've got a golf simulator. So if you can
There
swing
you
golf
go.
clubs,
We
we'll
can do
check that
that.
out. All right. But listen, I'd love to see how you actually got into like the tech and security industry, and sort of go through your trajectory from there.
Yeah, the real quick version is I credit my mother, and all of us guys should credit your mom, right? So, but no, seriously, she put me in a computer programming class when I was very young, and I'm dating myself, but it was programming Apple IIe's, which is I think they were ran by vacuum tubes and gerbils, and but that kind of started my whole thing. And then a good friend of mine had a Commodore 64, if anybody remembers that. And that just kind of stuck with me. But as I grew up, I kind of tended towards sports and girls and beer, and didn't really pay attention to technology that much. And but then I got out of college eventually, and I wanted to be an investment banker. I wanted to be Gordon Gekko, if anybody knows the movie Wall Street. And so I moved to San Francisco, and I started working in institutional banking, which in and of itself is improbable. And I got to where I wanted to be on a trading floor and a trading desk, and then I realized I hated it, and it was so repetitive. But we were taking companies public. It was during the IPO frenzy, and I realized I wanted to be on the other side of the screen. So I resigned from the banking job, and I joined Oracle as an inside sales rep to get started, and that's where it all started. So thank you, Larry Ellison, for
Yeah.
uh, for allowing me to start my career there.
Unreal. I probably should have asked him for why he hired you. That would have been a good one just to see if he remembered
Yeah, for
that.
some reason he won't return my calls. I don't know what's going on. So,
uh, so yeah, obviously, so you said Oracle, and then what was the path from there?
well, I realized that I didn't want to work for a large bureaucratic company with a lot of rules. Being somewhat of kind of a maverick mindset, and I realized I needed to work for a startup, and I credit my father with that because he started that heavy equipment business literally in our backyard, and that was a startup. And you would just every day was different. You just make it up as you go and just survive and grow. And I realized that that was really my DNA. And so I needed to work for a small company. So just by way of networking and talking to people, I found my way into a Norwest venture capital funded startup called Website Pros. And I was head of business development there. And that quickly went up in flames along with all the rest of the dot coms. But I got the bug at that point, and I retrenched and stayed in technology, stayed in sales, and that's really what started my formative years in tech with Oracle and with startups with Website Pros.
Mm.
And I realized I enjoyed the chaos, and I like small dysfunctional companies because I guess I'm a little dysfunctional too.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. So you started the sales route, got to a like CRO, and then when did you decide to Revelstoke? When did you decide to found
My career through Oracle, F5 networks, Blue Coat systems, all individual contributor roles. At Blue Coat, I became a manager, and then I realized I was good at leading people and leading a sales strategy. Went to FireEye through the IPO, and then from FireEye, I found my way circuitously to Demisto, which I was head of global sales there,
Mhm.
and um, and we got acquired by Palo Alto. And I had such a good time at Demisto. I didn't want it to stop. We were in cyber security automation, SOAR they call it. And my co-founder and I worked at Demisto together. We realized that we felt Demisto sold too soon, so we wanted to create the next generational version of Demisto. And that in and of itself is a funny story. We had an idea. We created a really ugly PowerPoint, and it was the COVID RSA in 2020 that we pitched the idea to some investors, and they bit. We got some seed funding, and that started it. So that was the start of it in February 2020, and it was quite funny and very scary all at the same time.
Yeah, I can imagine. But you had a good run there, didn't you? You ended up acquisition, Arctic
Yeah,
Wolf.
no, it was great. It was great. Definitely kind of an interesting um, story there. So I mentioned I worked at Blue Coat. I had about four different jobs there. I became friends with the CEO at the time, Brian Nesmith.
Mhm.
Well, why after I left Blue Coat, did FireEye and all this other stuff, Brian went off and created Arctic Wolf, and they're wildly successful today.
Yeah.
And Brian agreed to join my board at Revelstoke. I needed a friend on the board because of these nasty VCs that I had to deal with. And and Brian joined my board, and he tried to convince his own company to buy my software. Well, his own company, Arctic Wolf, decided to buy Revelstoke. So he recused himself from the board. Everything moved forward with the M&A stuff, and lo and behold, we got acquired by Arctic Wolf, and that's how it all came to be. And everybody, yeah, it was a great outcome. We were very lucky. It was a very, even today, it's still a very dicey, spicy kind of environment for startups, especially for M&A.
Mm.
We were one of the lucky ones, for sure.
Yeah. So the retirement didn't last very long, and then
No,
how did the appointment of CEO at Arm Cyber come out then?
it's purely just accident or dumb luck or just maybe just dumb. But I again was planning on skiing this winter and not doing anything of real consequence. And the first thing that happened is I got FOMO,
Yeah.
and and I'm still very passionate, obviously, about what we do. And so I got FOMO, and the second thing that happened is I just annoyed the holy hell out of my wife because she's used to me working and traveling and not being at home, and yeah, she found out that I can be pretty annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so
So for the
she
sake of the relationship, we thought we'd take another CEO
Yeah,
role.
it was either that or she changed the lock and
Yeah.
get a restraining order on me. So
Yeah.
and
Brilliant.
then thirdly, it really was the team at Arm Cyber. So I
Yeah.
had a number of different offers from competitors of Arm Cyber and things like that, and a lot of different options. And Arm Cyber really stood out to me, number one, because of the people. The founders are just fantastic people.
Hmm.
It was founded by fraternal twin brothers,
Okay.
which is crazy. And they're 32 years old. They've been in a basement for almost 4 years coding, creating a platform
Hmm.
that works as advertised. It's GA today. It's beautiful software, but they had no idea how to sell it.
Got ya.
That's where I enter the chat,
Yeah.
and we're building the sales and go-to-market function around this platform that they built.
Yeah, brilliant. Before we get into arms, obviously with ransomware and space, it's highly
Yeah.
competitive. There seems to be a lot of like even large vendors in the space. Like what really drew you to arms then?
So it's very there's number one again it was the people.
Yeah.
I had a number of offers from other ransomware platforms, but it really was the people and the founders. And I felt that they were very earnest and they had a servant type of mentality to where they created this unique and patented highly effective software that they wanted to get in the hands of the victims. They came out of the NSA
Got it.
and they realized that the government has funds that the private individual or enterprise does not. So they really wanted to help. So that really attracted me. And then number two, they claim they beat their competitors at a very large utility in the United States. And so I was able to verify that independently.
Okay.
And that very large utility, it was true. They beat all competitors in a live environment, a production environment. And that ultimately led me to sign because
Yeah.
the stuff works. And then lastly, all my friends are at these competitors, and I
Yeah.
love them to death. And I love competing with my friends, but I love winning even more. So and uh and then rubbing it in their face. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
no, that
No, of
sounds
course.
petty.
No, of
That
course.
sounds
No, I hear that. So what tell us a bit more about ARMS and then specifically the AMTD platform. What exactly is that as well, the tool?
yeah. Yeah, so the guys created AMTD, so that's automatic moving target defense. And our CTO, one of the twins, pioneered that technology, and his research paper for his PhD was written on that. We are pursuing a patent for that. We do have that in place. So we have three layers, and it starts with AMTD. The first layer identifies what the ransomware is after. And once we know what they're after, we move it around so it's hard to find. But as we all know in cybersecurity, nothing's, a silver bullet. The threat actors only need to be right once. So nothing's a 100% guaranteed. So if they make it past that AMTD layer, the second layer blocks. And the efficacy of this blocking layer is extremely high, well over 90%. And we use decoy files, file entropy analysis, all this very complex and proprietary technology to block the ransomware. Because again, we know what they're after because we've already identified them in the network or on the machine. And then the third layer is really what stands us apart because again, because we know what they're after and we know who they are, we instantly back up the files they're after on the local machine and we hide it. So we're actually using the ransomware technique against the ransomware itself. We're relocating or we're backing up the files and the data they're after on the local machine, and we're hiding it in a stealth manner to where they can't see it, they can't find it, they can't tamper it. And again, this is patented and this is unique to ARM Cyber. And so what that means is that if the ransomware encrypts the data, because we've put it in a stealth archival, the end user can hit a button and instantly in seconds recover. Nobody else does that.
Yeah.
And that's what makes ARM Cyber different. Those three layers, but especially the third layer. And there's often the case where people are saying their EDR covers ransomware or they have cloud-based backup, immutable backup, but we sit in between those two layers. And again, the local machine means the laptop or the server. So we can instantly back it up and recover. And that's really valuable because ransomware today isn't so much about paying the ransom or having your files get released online. It's about business interruption.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
we we prevent business interruption and allow continuity.
Okay. You mentioned like a ransomware techniques. Are they evolving? Like how are you guys seeing things evolve then at the moment?
They're absolutely evolving. So the people that create malware and ransomware are just as smart, if not smarter, than the people that are creating, cybersecurity companies. And they have QA, quality assurance, um, environments that contain a lot of these technologies. And so the ransomware creators are aware of encryption key capture. They're aware of different techniques. So they make ransomware to evade these things. So you have modern ransomware today that bypasses these layers, the existing ransomware people, platforms, and EDR layers. So what we're seeing is ransomware that doesn't use encryption key capture. They just wipe. They clean out the entire system. It's called wipers. And so there isn't anything to try to decrypt because it's all gone.
Mm.
And you either rebuild your network or you pay the ransom. The other one is lockers. They just completely lock up the network. They don't encrypt it, they just lock it up. And again, there's nothing to decrypt because it's just all locked up.
Mm,
So wipers and lockers are the new variants of ransomware. And I'm sure there's many more coming because again, there's a lot of money behind this. It's an industry.
a lot.
And yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's literally ransomware as a service. You've heard of SaaS. Well, there's
Mm,
RAP, where you can rent ransomware and go out and make some side, pocket change as a service. So it's really evolving.
mm.
And keep your eye on the geopolitical scene as well. The nation states are preoccupied with invading other countries. When they're not preoccupied, they're going to be issuing a lot more interesting ransomware and malware out there. So.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, nice. Have you got any like case studies or first customers that you can talk about at all? 'Cause I saw on your website, it looks like you've got some customers under your belt already.
Yeah, I mean, the tricky part about, cybersecurity is, people don't like you to talk about what they own. But we did just today release a customer testimonial, and there'll be more as well. But we have a very large multinational financial services company that's coming online,
Mm,
and they'll be issuing a press release. And so we're going to wait for them to reveal who they are. But this is a company that's in 45 of the top 50 banks worldwide. And they own CrowdStrike and
mhm.
they own Rubrik. And they're installing us alongside CrowdStrike because they realize that modern ransomware bypasses that layer. And they're installing us because even though Rubrik is great at doing immutable backups, it's not an instant solution for recovering in seconds,
Got it.
whereas we are. So
Got
that
it.
is a very powerful story for us.
Yeah.
But we have a number of should I say, covert networks. Again, the history of this company starts with the NSA with the founders. So we've been honing our techniques, in private, something that can't be a press release.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. You mentioned so you obviously you was appointed November, I believe, as Steve now. Nick and Steve have also joined recently. So it seems like you are in a growth pattern. I know you're quite a small team at the moment. Um, in terms of growth, like what's the plans for you guys at the minute? You mentioned some scary VCs and stuff. Are you currently in a fundraising or where are we at?
Yeah, I mean, so we just closed an oversubscribed seed extension. So I raised about $3.25 million on top of 1.4. So we have, or 2.4, I should say. So we
Mhm.
have a 5.65 total seed funding, and that will get us through the end of 25 calendar year. However, I just got off the phone with a VC today. I'm raising awareness and demand for our A round now.
Mhm.
My goal is to execute on our sales plan and to raise funds the middle of calendar year 25. And that'll be our A round, and that'll fuel growth. We just hired another sales team. We're hiring a channel leader. Um, we're getting the alliances in shape, so we're really going to create that flywheel effect. And as mentioned, we're going to have a lot of logos and ARR to talk about in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, I love that. Great.
Yeah.
What about the future for Arms then, Bob? What's the plans over the next couple of years? Where are we taking this baby?
Well, we get asked that a lot. And if we wanted to sell the company or the technology, we could, but we don't want to. We really want to get this technology out there and in the hands of the victims or the targets of ransomware. And our top verticals are healthcare, hospitality, financial services, and critical infrastructure, as mentioned.
Interesting.
So we really want to grow that. So starting with the lower 48 in the US of A, we want to do every major NFL city. I want a sales team there executing and getting this out there. We are focused on being 100% channel and enabling the channel in the form of not only the resale channel, but the services channel and the service provider and MDR channels as well. There's many, many routes to market. We'll even consider OEM if it's the right situation. So we have a lot to do, and we're having so much fun. We don't want it to end. And our nearest competitor, to answer your question more succinctly, our nearest competitor was recently valued at $1 billion.
I saw that.
And not only do we beat that competitor, but we give their technology away for free.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's probably pretty good timing to say that, encryption key capture is a method for defending an enterprise against ransomware. Encryption key capture is free.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to pay for it. It's been an open source since 2017, and this competitor has based their technology on that. And we have that technology in-house as well, but it's not that effective. It's only 20 to 30% effective. And so we just open sourced it about a month ago. And so I encourage everybody to go to our community edition and download this technology at no cost and join our community. We're adding, tens of people to it every day. And all that to say is that we've open sourced our nearest competitor. We open source their technology. They're worth $1 billion. So at the very least, my goal as a market cap, our valuation would be $1 billion.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've got
Unreal.
a bit of work. We've got a bit of work to do, but the reality is that our technology stands alone. And if our competitor, based on open source technology, is worth $1 billion, we should at least be worth $1 billion.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Maybe at RSA we could have like a bit of a clash with you and them on the show. We'll do the podcast live. That would be pretty fun.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, yeah. Our cyber, you've seen our
Yeah,
logo, from home
yeah.
and health. We could
Uh,
do some
yeah,
LARPing,
yeah. Love it.
and
Love it. They'll probably be on to me after this to get back on the show. So
yeah,
yeah,
let's do
I'll
some
wait.
medieval games with our competitors.
Oh, brilliant. But look, Bob, I wish you all the best of success, my man, with arms. I know that there's no doubt in my mind it's gonna be another home run. So
Thank you, sir.
enjoy it, my man, and
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing you at RSA. It'll be good fun.
You too, Joseph. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your interest and support.
You're the man. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed today's show, please like and share with your friends and colleagues, as this is really important for the show's reach. If you'd like to be our next guest or are interested in Aspiron Search's staffing solutions, please get in touch directly with me or reach out to us via our website www.aspironsearch.com.